Welcome to Mythos Histories. I am your narrator. I know it's the holiday season here on our Earth, so I had my researchers scout around, and we happened to find a story that should be very fitting for this time of year. In the pine trees that line the large yard, a man in a black hoodie stands in the falling snow. A 3-foot creature with gray skin and scars walks up and starts talking in grunts and squeals. The man listens and responds, "Understood." The creature keeps talking. "Shut up," the man growls. The creature giggles. Its eyes sparkle with gleeful hate. He slowly raises it up as the creature flails its arms and legs. "Do not speak. You tell me what I need to know, and no more." The man slams the creature to the ground, irritated even more by the fact that the snow cushioned the creature's impact. The man walks to the front door of the McMansion of a home. He puts out an open hand and he hears the click of the door unlocking. He walks inside and waves his hand over the house alarm, shutting it off. He shuts the door and walks into the living room. Like every house he has visited at night, the only light in this room is from the blinky Christmas lights on a pine tree. Busy next to it was a man dressed in red with white fur trim. "Santa," the man says as he sits down and takes a cookie off the plate in front of him. Santa turns and looks at the man. "You know I don't like your kind here while I do my work. Seems to me you like it enough to make a list every year." Santa grabs a large green bag next to him tightly. "It needs to be done. Whatever helps you sleep." Santa turns around. "You do not understand the nature of what I do." The man leans forward. "Oh, I understand the nature of what you do all too well. How dare you speak to me? You're the only one of your kind that does. If I could, I would kill you. The others are too weak and they fear you. For some strange reason. Hypocrite." Santa steps and leans over the man. "Such insolence. I will have to remedy that with your master." The man kicks Santa in the chest. Santa is knocked backwards and trips over some of the presents. The man leans forward now. "You will do shit. Speed it up, fat ass. I have a schedule to keep too." Santa gets up. "You may go to your task. I'm finished here." "If you insist." "Wait, you do insist, don't you?" The man gets up and walks down the hallway, his shadow passing every doorway along the way. He reaches the last door and puts his hand out. The knob turns silently and the door opens. He walks in and looks around the room. Pretty typical overall. Clothes on the floor, various anime posters on the wall. A new phone is charging on the nightstand, and a laptop sits on the desk. The man hits the spacebar and the screen comes alive, showing the girl sleeping was watching YouTube. The man sighs and walks over to the bed. He puts out both hands and waves them back and forth once. He sits down to the girl sleeping on the bed and wakes her up. The girl opens her eyes and fear fills them when she realizes she can't move. She opens her mouth to scream, but nothing comes out. "Don't bother," the man says. "From what I can see, you have nothing interesting to say anyway." The girl's eyes dart around as tears roll down her cheeks. "From that hole in the wall, I would say you have a rage problem. You must have really fucked up for me to be here." The man gently wipes away the tears rolling down her cheeks. Hey, save your tears. You will need them later. This is only the beginning. Things are going to get much worse for you, and it will never end." The girl takes a sharp breath. "Nobody is coming for you. In fact, here in a few moments, nobody will even remember you. To them, you never existed. I know. I could have been gentler with this information, but from what I can see, you are a bitch and I don't really care about your feelings. If you weren't such a bitch, you wouldn't be in this situation. There is a knock on the window. The man gets up and opens it. Below is now 3 elves, each ugly with gray skin and scars. Each look diseased looking. The ears of each one droop slightly. The 2 new elves have a large black bag that they open. The man picks up the girl. He goes back and drops her in the bag. Go. The 2 elves close the bag and run off, dragging the bag behind them. The man walks back in the hallway. He opens another door and walks in. He looks at the sleeping parents for a moment before going to the mother's side of the bed. He leans over her and whispers into her ear, "If the one that created you forgets, I'll forget." He kisses her on the forehead and walks out. He stops at the girl's room and watches as everything slowly disappears and is replaced by another bed and furniture, suitable as a guest room. The last thing to disappear was the hole in the wall. The man walks out of the house, and with a wave of his hand, the door locks behind him. "Where to next?" the man asks the elf. The elf takes off and he follows him, and they disappear into the trees. He appears at another house. The elf says something and covers itself when the man looks at it. The man in the hoodie walks to the front door. Like before, he waves his hand and it opens. He walks through the living room and sees new presents under the tree. He had just missed Santa, which was fine by him. He walks to the bedroom and enters. Sleeping on the bed was a 10-year-old boy. The man walks to his sleeping body and waves his hands. The man pauses for a moment. This was always so much harder than taking them. He pulls back his fist and hits the boy in the face. The boy's eyes snap open. He tries to scream, but nothing comes out. Like before, he can't move or make a sound. "Welcome to the final moments of your life," the man says. The man leans over for added effect. "It's one thing to be angry, but you are something else, aren't you?" The boy's eyes don't show fear, just hate. "I know about your little hobby. The cat, the raccoon, the dog. I know exactly what you did to them. I know about your diary and your plans. In these final moments, you will feel some of the pain you have inflicted on other living things." The man starts punching the boy. After a few punches, his sounds of his hit change with the addition of blood. There is now a wet slapping sound to the impact of the man's punches. When the boy is dead, the man wipes the blood off of his knuckles with a sheet laying on the bed. The man walks out and sees a little girl standing in the hallway. She looks at him as she gently cries. "Are you here to help me?" she asks. The man kneels before her. "Yes, I am, sweetheart." "Who are you?" "Santa's helper." The girl's eyes widen. "Santa got my letter?" "Yes, Santa got your letter." The girl starts to cry harder. Then the man hugs her. "It will be okay," he says. "I didn't know what to do. My brother was hurting me and Mommy and Daddy didn't believe me. I prayed Santa would get my letter and help me." "Santa believed you." The man lets the girl cry for a few moments and then he pulls back. "Let's get you some water." The girl nods as he wipes away her tears. The man picks her up and carries her to the kitchen. He sits her down on the counter and pours her a glass of water. She drinks half of it and then sets the glass back down. "Better?" he asks. The girl nods. The man holds her face. "From here on out, your life will get better. He won't hurt you anymore, or forever, for that matter. Okay?" The girl smiles. "Let's get you to bed." The man picks up the girl and carries her to her room. He lays her down and tucks her in. Sweet dreams. He waves his hand over her face and she instantly falls asleep. The man walks to the parents' bedroom. He goes to the mother's side and whispers, "If the one that creates you forgets, I'll forget." He kisses her on the forehead and walks out. As he walks, something catches his eye. He stops and looks at the picture on the wall. He runs a finger down the glass as a great sorrow fills him. He takes the picture off the wall and puts it in his hoodie pocket. He goes outside and looks at the light of the pre-dawn day. His work this year was done. The man tilts his head back and closes his eyes. A second elf runs up to him giggling. The man picks it up and beats it savagely. He grabs it by the head and makes it look at the house. "You're the one that watches the house, correct?" The elf nods, not daring to speak. "Watch the girl. In fact, protect her at all costs. Understand?" The elf nods vigorously. "Go." The man throws the elf, and when it lands, it runs in the snow. It then jumps and disappears into one of the walls of the house. The man turns to the elf he has worked with all night. Stupid creatures. He wished his kind were assigned an elf. Dealing with a new stupid elf every year was exhausting. If he had his own elf, he could train it properly. Let's go. The man walks and disappears in the hanging branches of a weeping willow tree nearby. The man appears in an old-growth forest. He walks to the clearing up ahead. It is filled with countless bonfires and surrounded by people dressed like him. The oldest of his kind wore black robes. On a nearby ridge, the man sees many children chained together and being forced into a cave by the elves whipping them. He could hear their cries from where he stood. Standing on top of the cave was Krampus, dressed in rotting fur. His hands were massive and silhouetted by the moon. The man scowls as the second figure approaches, his red clothing confirming it was Santa. The man spits on the ground. Such bullshit, he thinks. Santa and Krampus had an agreement since the dawn of time. The elves would report to Santa, who would then make 2 lists. He then gave the naughty list to Krampus. Krampus would then use people like him to either steal or kill the children Santa wanted. The ones that were taken would make toys for the good children or made into someone like the man. All the while, Santa kept his reputation pristine and clean to the outside world. The man somewhat respected Krampus. Every year he made Santa come here and retrieve the naughty list, just so he could see the reality of this place, so he couldn't hide or deny the truth. The man watched as Santa got the list, get into a sleigh and take off. A blonde woman walks up to the man. "Hey you." "Hey." She wraps her arms around the man's waist. "Ready to go?" "I want to do bad things to your body, and if you're lucky, I will do bad things to yours." She bites her lower lip and raises her eyebrows. "Not this year." "Come on, we only have a couple days." I said no. The woman smacks him in the face. "Fuck you, asshole. Don't expect me to come to you next year. I will have someone new." The man starts to walk away and looks over his shoulder. We both know that's an empty threat. The man walks back into the woods. Finally, he comes to a small cabin. Each of his kind had one just like it. Krampus, when he was done with his work, would cast a spell putting them all to sleep. That is until the day before Christmas Eve. This meant that the man would have 2 or 3 days before Krampus could cast his spell. The man walks into the cabin. Inside was only a bed and a bedside table. The man pulls out the picture and puts it on the table, and he looks at it as he lays down. It is a picture of a small boy, fishing pole in one hand and a fish in the other. This boy was his brother, and at one time he was in the picture too. The man knew that there were worse things than being killed by a child of Krampus. So while you're sitting there by your fire, looking at your Christmas tree, are you sure you're on the good list? You should really check into that. Merry Christmas.